Welcome to Conversations with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Abastilla, counselor here at Chimacum Jr. Senior High. Hello and welcome to another edition of Conversations with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Abastilla. So for this week, it is my pleasure to do this interview with Miss Thea Hall, our 7th to 8th grade math teacher as well as geometry teacher. Thank you so much, Miss Hall, for being here.
No problem.
Glad to have you on board. So to start off with, a little bit about your background. It's my understanding that you used to be a student here and that you've had family and generations have been here. Can you kind of fill me in on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I did graduate from here. I have 4 siblings that all graduated from here as well. And so we're all varying ages, but and we all start with T, so we were all T Coltons. So if you find Coltons, that's probably somebody related to me. I used to live across the street, so I used to walk to school every day. And went to University of Washington and made my way back here to teach.
Awesome. So how was it like, your experience as a student here?
Yeah, I mean, the campus looks about the same. There used to be like a cool pit. We called it the senior pit, right out by the in the commons, and only seniors were allowed to be in there. It had like a cool couch, but a couple years ago they filled that in, and I'm not sure why. I think it became like a clique thing.
The pit. I'm just trying to imagine. So what type of couch did they have? Leather couch?
Oh, no, it was like red, and it was like microfiber, but it used to, like, the commons would dip down in the corner, and then down in the dip there was a cool place where all the seniors could hang out.
Just out of curiosity, did you guys do any pranks on each other? Because I can already envision with the dipping down that. What did you guys do? Like, I'm curious.
Oh yeah, just like pretending to like hold somebody over so they fell off. Or,
no.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't that big of a dip, but it was enough that like if you tripped on it, it would really hurt. And so that's probably why they got rid of it.
Oh, how was the experience for your siblings? I mean, you had a few siblings that went here as well.
Yeah. So I have 3 older brothers that all graduated from here. They were all basketball and track players. I think one of the records my brother Tanner still holds, I think it's assists for basketball. I'm not quite sure. But they all, my oldest brother Travis works for Amazon. He's a big marketing director. It actually had a meeting with Jeff Bezos the other day, just in his office. Yeah. So he spends a lot of time with him and traveling around the world. He's going to Tokyo in a couple months to do stuff for Amazon over there. And my brother Tyler is a big sales director for a company in Europe.
Wow.
And he's based in Seattle. They live in Woodinville, but he does the sales for them. And
what does he sell?
Some software. He does a lot of stuff with the federal government. And then my brother Tanner runs nonprofit organizations that do a lot of outreach to Africa, South America. I actually think they're in New Zealand right now.
Wow.
So they're having a great time. And then I younger sister who also graduated from here, she's a graphic designer.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all have a big, rich history.
A lot of diversity. Did just come in the background, just a whole variety of things. And I'm curious for yourself, what inspired you to become a teacher?
I think having great teachers here at Chimacum really made a big difference. I always really loved math, and it was something everybody hated. And for some reason, I found joy in finding an answer always. There's always an answer, even though there's lots of ways to figure it out. I think the joy of getting that answer, I think, is what really inspired me to try to spread that joy to other people. When you ask adults what their favorite subject was, math is never their favorite subject ever. And I think it comes a lot from their poor experiences in school. And so I'm just trying to change the vibe a little bit and bring a fresh approach to it. So
nice. Did you so when you were a student here, who were some of the teachers that were great that you got along with?
Miss Schmidt was my high school math teacher. She's still here. And then Mr. Porter, who is still lurking around, he was the athletic director and vice principal when I was a kid. And then Mr. Meacham, who's in the elementary school, Miss Berg, they were here, and a couple other people. But for the high school, it's pretty close to being nobody left. But yeah, that's fun.
Wow. Now, you mentioned, so your credentials. So did you get your teaching credentials from UW?
No, I have a math degree from UW.
Okay.
And then I have 2 master's degrees, one in education and one in teaching.
Oh, wow. Were they all from UW, or was it different schools?
No, different schools.
Different schools? Oh, which ones?
My first one was from Kaplan University, and then the next one was from University of Phoenix.
Okay.
So I have just a big background of knowledge.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really curious for yourself as a teacher. What are some of the joys that you face, and what are some of the challenges and obstacles that you go through on a daily basis?
I think the biggest joy for me is seeing students who have poor experiences in math in their previous years, like, come in and not just totally hate their life in my classroom. And I try really hard to have them have like a little bit of success every day, whether that's like finishing an assignment or understanding a concept or just something that they walk out not feeling totally defeated. I think that's one of my biggest joys. And then some of the difficult things are sometimes students forgetting that like teachers are still people, and that we have personal feelings and personal things going on that affect, and not that we should like lay our personal problems on them, but yeah, I'm still a human, and I think that's sometimes overlooked. But also getting up really early, that's difficult. But I think at this point I've gotten used to it. I don't remember it being this early when I was a kid. I'm not sure.
Well, so how long have you been a teacher for? Several?
This is my 4th year.
Fourth year, okay.
Or 5th. I kind of had a weird half year, but it's my 7th year teaching altogether.
Okay. When you were a student, was the time a little bit different? Did you guys start later?
I'm honestly thinking that it was like 8:30, but
wow.
I don't know. I was a big difference.
45 minutes is a little bit of a difference, so we started 7:45 to 8:30.
Yeah, but maybe it's just harder to get up because I'm older, so it could be. That's really it.
Now, I think you kind of answered my question. I was going to ask my next one about your philosophy on education and student learning. What's your biggest philosophy? Just your biggest thing?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I feel like I want like a list of 20 philosophies, and I could like pick one that best represents me.
How about 2 or 3?
But I don't. I mean, I think that every person, especially in math, can be successful. I think people often say that like I'm not a math person. I was like, not everybody is, and that's okay, but that doesn't mean that we can't all be successful, right? Just to get where you want to go. Like, not all of us are going to go to UW and get a math degree or be an engineer, but like getting your way through high school with relative success and not dreading every minute of it, I think is important. And I try to make my classroom like inviting, and so I think that's another philosophy of mine, is like having a place where students feel comfortable. And then just accountability. I try to hold my students accountable for all those things that they do, whether it's like losing their papers or anything. I'm like, okay, you have to like come and do it again. And so yeah, I want the students to walk out of my classroom being more accountable than they were before. So yeah.
I'm sure. I've talked to a few students. I can definitely tell you that they definitely appreciate you.
Oh, that's good.
Without even question. I'll address that later on too. Okay, so I'll tell you the truth. For me, I started here in August. I'm from Bremerton. I live in Bremerton. So I still feel like I'm relatively new here to the Chimacum community. What would you tell, I don't really feel like an outsider anymore, but how would you...
a new person.
Yeah, what would you tell a new person, or, okay, even an outsider,
Yes, yeah.
what would you tell them about the Chimacum community in general, the high school and just the community?
I think for the community, it's really close niche and like agricultural based. We have take great pride in living off the land. I think we have big dairy farms and big vegetable farms, and between like Red Dog and everything that goes on in between here and the bridge, I think is really diverse. And then for the high school, I think that we are starting to gain a good reputation after so many years of, I think, having a terrible reputation. And it was after me that reputation really started to not me personally, but after my graduating class, I think a couple years. I'm not sure what caused that reputation, but I want people to understand that this is a good place full of really good people and teachers that care, and that we're doing what we think is best for everybody. And I think sometimes we get so hot-headed about whatever topics. But this is a great place. Like, there's lots of opportunities, and there's more opportunities than ever, even from when I was a kid. You know, the sports being combined with Port Townsend is an awesome opportunity for us to like offer tons of new sports and like, you know, be competitive. And I think it's great.
Now, for the outside listeners, those who aren't from the Chimacum area, could you briefly enlighten what you talked about with our school, Chimacum, and combined with Port Townsend? Just for outside listeners, can you explain what that is?
So our school district, Chimacum, and then about 12 minutes up the road is another school district, Port Townsend School District. And just recently we've combined sports programs. A lot of our sports programs were already combined. Like, I coached tennis, and that's been combined since I was a kid. Wrestling was combined, but now we put like football, basketball, baseball, all of it's put together, so the teams have more people. So it's good.
Good. So I'm just want to go back a little bit about teaching style. So you've been a teacher for 7 years. How did you develop your teaching style over those last 7 years?
I think every teacher pulls a little bit of all of the teachers that came before them and who taught them. You know, like I like this about this person and this about this person. You kind of just mold it into like who you are. I think a lot of mine comes from like me just not taking people's nonsense, and I think that I give a sense of like, I care about you, but also like I want you to be responsible, and so sometimes I come off as like really rough in that instance. But I think that style is such a hard. So it's funny because one of the paras who's going to school to get her bachelor's degree just asked me this question yesterday, and I had a really hard time answering it then too about style. I mean, if I had to like put a word, I'd be like knowledgeable, fun. Like, I think that's probably where I would go, or like fun with math. Or I had a friend at the ESD that she called my class making friends with math. I think that's the best way to describe me.
And one thing when I've talked with students, and they've mentioned this, why they really appreciate how you make the math curriculum fun. Yeah. And they've said that too, more than one. I can tell you several where they've said where sometimes you made the task so fun. It's like, oh, they didn't realize they're doing math till later. It's like, oh, they're learning things. Yeah. And so that was actually a question from some of the students, because they were curious and like, oh, how did Ms. Hall develop that teaching style over the years? So, I mean, one thing is you're definitely making an impact with the students, and they really do appreciate what you do. I'm curious. I know we talked about teachers that you knew when you were a student here. Were there anyone that growing up, even up to now, that you looked up to, role models or mentors or people that really helped you along the way?
Yeah, I like when I first started teaching in Oregon is where I first started teaching, and I had we were assigned a mentor teacher that like guided us through our first year. Her name was Ruth Ann, and she was like, I would go in and just say, here's my XYZ problems, and she would have ABC solutions for me. And so it was just like, she really inspired me to like, you know, most teachers quit in their first 5 years, right?
Why is that?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's time consuming. It's hard. If you have a family, you're spending a lot of time away from them. You know what I mean? I have a little boy who's 6 who's just finally like doing all the fun things, like playing sports, and he does gymnastics, and I miss things sometimes just because I don't know. And part of it is me like being new, and I still haven't like gotten the rhythm of doing all the things, I think. But I think that she was a really good inspiration, and then Joanne, who's here, she was my high school teacher. She was one of the big people that I did Running Start in high school, and so I spent a lot of time during the day not going to classes because all my classes were later in the afternoon, and so she let me be a TA for her for like 3 years. And so I would TA, you know, all my friends, and it was really weird to be the TA for my friends, but it let me see that like teaching was a noble profession, and I think that was a big influence for me. And then just, you know, awesome college teachers and, you know, nice people. You
mentioned something about Running Start. So you did a little bit of Running Start in high school. How was that experience like, or can you tell me?
Yeah, Running Start was still kind of new when I was in high school, and a lot of students participated in Running Start, but just pieces of Running Start. They would do like just English, or they would get 5 or 10 credits. I somebody once told me that they thought that I was the first person to graduate with an AA from Chimacum, but I don't think that's true. I think we'd have to fact check that. Okay. But I did graduate with an AA from Peninsula when I graduated high school. And so I started at UW 18 years old, but a junior. And
how was that like? I'm curious, as an 18-year-old going to UW, yeah. Can you describe a little bit how?
It was so weird to be a junior and a freshman at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Right? So like I was living in the freshman dorms because they make you live in the dorms the first year.
Okay.
And we were grouped with like people. So like at the time I was doing computer engineering, and so I was on the floor with all the computer engineers, boys and girls. Like we were living in the same hallway, and so but also I didn't have any classes with anybody because they were all taking their prerequisites and I was already done with everything. And so I started like in math 410 or something like that, right?
Wow.
Because I took all those credits with me, and I took the AP test in high school, so I took those credits with me. And so, yeah, it was very strange. So it was really lonely to start with because all the people that were living with me, they were all going to classes together and making those friendships where I wasn't. So that was really challenging. I think probably one of the biggest downsides of what I did was that I didn't get to form those bonds with those freshman friends that I had. Though it worked out. Obviously, mm-hmm. But it just was really hard because I didn't get to enjoy the same things they were enjoying. But so I was freshman / junior. It was really weird.
That had to be interesting.
It's very
interesting experience.
It's something that is not talked about. So it's something for people who are currently doing Running Start to think about, like that. If your ambition is to get an AA and you're gonna go, and you're not gonna know anybody, because you're not going to get that chance to like bond with people. So it's really weird. Because usually, by the time you're a junior in college, you like have some friends or you get an apartment together or things like that. I never got that chance. I was 20 and I was gone.
It's a fast jump.
Yep.
Definitely a fast jump for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, let's have some fun. This is called word association. So okay. I'm just going to basically give you like a word or two.
Okay.
And just tell me like your immediate thoughts.
Okay.
What comes to mind. Now this first one, this is a running joke. The students here in Chimacum, they know I have I have a dislike for pickles.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shoot that for the first thing. Okay, first one comes to mind with pickles.
Vinegar.
Okay. Okay, cartoons.
Cartoon Network.
Okay. Okay. Education.
Teaching.
Okay. Good. Math.
Fun.
Okay. Video games.
Zelda.
I like that. That's a good one. I'm a Super Mario guy, but yeah, Zelda's good too.
Always good.
Zelda's good. Okay. Puzzles.
Annoying.
Really? Student learning.
Student learning? Oh, that's 2 words.
Yeah. What are 2 words?
Data. I don't know.
Okay. Discipline.
Sucky.
Sports.
Football.
Okay.
I love football.
Okay. Social media.
Necessary evil.
Okay. All right. I got a few more questions here. So we are in March, so we got a few more months of the school year. Advice for the students. So first of all, what piece of advice would you give to the 7th and 8th graders, for starters?
I think the 7th and 8th graders are learning habits that they're going to take them all the way through high school. And I think that they don't always understand that. And those organization habits, those follow-through habits, so needed now, and then when you get to high school it's a lot easier. So
goes over time. And then that's the next one, the high school. So I would say the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. What would you tell them?
It's really easy it's extremely difficult to raise your grade after you get an F, right? And so like just don't ever get there. Just don't do that.
Makes my job harder because I check the credits.
They forgiven.
And then here's the big one, the seniors. What would you tell the seniors?
Don't do something stupid on graduation night.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good stage class.
There's a story of, I don't think he graduated with me, but he had a scholarship to school to play baseball. And he did something stupid at graduation night. They took it from him.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so just like, it's good time. Like, go seniors, go graduate. You're awesome, but that's just one night, and you got the rest of your life in front of you. So
that's fair.
So yeah,
that's fair. So in closing, any final words you want to tell the students, community, staff? Anything, a message you want to send them directly?
My biggest joy is helping, and so I think for the students, like if you're struggling in whatever, and I'm a person that you're comfortable with, and I don't, just come see me and I'll help. I think semester was really challenging, and people were kind of freaking out about their grades, and I definitely offered to every single kid, like, come see me and I'll help you with whatever you help with, and I want to extend that to now. So just, if you need some help with whatever, I'm happy to help. And then for everybody else, I know Chimacum is small, but that doesn't mean that we're not awesome. So take, maybe let go of some preconceived notions that you might have or what people might say, and give us a chance. So
I can tell you this just from my own experience, because like I said, I started back August last summer, and I mean, my first impressions was awesome. You guys, yourself, you've made me feel welcome. The students have made me feel welcome, and I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever preconceived notions it's there, it's happened in the past, but for me, it's been awesome, and you've made me feel welcome too, and I really appreciate that. No, thank you so much, Ms. Hall, for being part of this week's show. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And this concludes this portion of Conversations with Mr. A, episode 3B with Miss Thea Hall, our 7th, 8th grade math teacher and our geometry teacher. Wow, wow, wow. Awesome interview. Just so much history. Being a student at Chimacum, growing up there, growing up here, as well as teaching here. All I can say is, students, you're truly lucky to have an awesome, wonderful teacher in Mrs. Hall. So, next week, there will be new episodes of Conversation with Mr. A. We'll see you then.